yellow. Yeah, you know what it is.
Every now and again, we have a phenomenal fighter like Ciryl Gane, guys undefeated, amazing amount of skills, very reminiscent to Kane and John Jones in their run-up to not only winning the title, but winning the title undefeated. Now, is Ciryl Gane going to be another Cain Velasquez or John Jones, or will he hit a brick wall with Francis Ngannou? We are Calf Kick Sports, and we are back for another episode. As always, joined by the amazing Tim Wheaton. How you doing, Tim? How'd you find this event, man?
Ash, thanks so much for that introduction. That was a really good introduction. And I think he does kind of fit that mold of kind of the fighters who start out and they look amazing and then they're amazing throughout their entire career. Guys like you mentioned, John Jones, Cain Velasquez, Habib too, as well. Just like this guy looks incredible. And then every challenge out, he just seems to get better and better. And now he's at an interim title. He's ranked number 1 in that heavyweight weight class. He hasn't even lost a round. I struggle to find any time when he's lost an exchange. I don't know that he's even engaged in an exchange. He's a guy who controls the fight so well from start to finish, and he's so effective at it, right? He's taken some of the best notes from the early 90s kickboxing of how to use distance control, how to use jabs and straight long kicks. And he's just kind of a fighter that you like as a technician. You really enjoy watching. You can learn a lot from watching him fight. Now, the heavyweight division, I hate to say that the UFC did the right thing with an interim championship, but you know what they did is I'm excited for that next fight. And the heavyweight division is finally fun. Ash, It was a great event. What did you think of it?
I mean, going back to that, actually, when the UFC was like, this is, it's everyone's like, oh man, shitting on the interim title, going, it's a bad idea. Well, Dana actually came out with a really good point. I mean, he mentioned boxing, which he always wanted to refrain from titles in boxing and comparing that to the UFC. But like, this is like a WBO champion going against WBC or, whatever the boxing titles are. It's basically like, it's a big fight that we're setting up. 2 champions against each other. And ultimately, man, his fight against Derek Lewis was a coming out party. Yes. He didn't land. He landed everything perfectly. 80% significant strike rate ratio, unbelievable, man. I mean, the guy is a problem. And, going into it, I kind of figured that he probably would start breaking down Derek Lewis's body and his legs before targeting the head. Very good at mixing high and low very, very well in this fight. And I almost think, man, like he hurt Derek Lewis's eye in the second round. He knew it. And he targeted it in that third round over and over again until, potentially breaking his orbital bone or whatever it was. But guy is incredibly smart, man. He's probably he is the smartest striker in the heavyweight division ever, in my opinion. I can't think of anyone better than him.
Not in the UFC's heavyweight division, no. Like he kind of is no, you're absolutely correct in terms of like the smartest singular striker in the UFC's heavyweight division. But yeah, we were comparing him to guys like some of the better strikers of Andre Arlovsky and Tim Sylvia, where clearly Ciryl Gane might be the best striker in the UFC heavyweight division. And he, like we talked about, he just looks absolutely incredible. Now, this is a fight where coming into Derek Lewis, we all look like experts. And I was really thinking about like Derek Lewis, we always talk about this guy's not that good. And he keeps winning fights. And it feels like you're almost being offensive by just saying this guy's not that good. But when you see him fight Ciryl Gane or even losing to Volkov for the entire fight or losing to Curtis Blades for most of the fights or struggling with an Ilir Latifi, struggling with an old Junior Dos Santos, struggling with an old Mark Hunt, like he's not that good of a fighter. So when you come in and say Ciryl Gane's clearly going to win, it makes you look like a predictable, like you're a prediction genius, right? But
yeah.
It's like he can land that right hand, absolutely. But if this fight happened 100 times, you got to think of how many times does he land that right hand. And after seeing their fight Saturday night, you could probably easily say Derek Lewis lands that right hand once, twice.
Yeah,
does he land it?
Yeah,
maybe twice. If they fight 100 times, maybe he lands it twice. But yeah, Ciryl Gane looked really good. What do you think?
I mean, even the way that Gane ducked under that right hand, I mean, he did that a couple of times. Like, Derek Lewis is like going into full Black Beast mode, trying to rush in with some exchanges, violent exchanges. to try and get the fight going on his side, man. He wasn't able to land anything, so he had to try and make it ugly. As soon as he tried to make it ugly, Ciryl Gane ducked underneath those punches and just circled out, reset, man. And that is something that he's done over and over and over again in his fights, man. He will never be in a situation where he's on the receiving end of those punches. Even against Volkov, he made sure that he was close enough that Volkov couldn't land that teep kick properly. He changed his stances often, so that those body kicks were kind of non-negligible. But man, what a smart fighter, man. He doesn't get hit. It's like what Will Kick MMA said, man. He is the Floyd Mayweather of MMA. So far, he's looking really good. Do you think he takes out Francis, though? That's a big one.
He's a really good defensive fighter. And like you had talked about with circling out, you can see that he knows. A lot of the early boxers of like the 70s and 80s were always taught that if you feel the ropes are on fire. So if you feel the ropes, run out of there. And you can see Ciryl Gane doing that too. As soon as your back is against the cage, run to the center. And sometimes it looked almost silly because he's in a full sprint, but he pivots and now he has octagon control again. That's really good, like fight IQ for a guy with a handful of fights. Now, how he does against Francis Ngannou mostly thrives in exchanges, right? We haven't seen Gane in any exchanges. So what this fight is going to come down to is what opportunities is Ngannou going to be able to create? Because he needs to get Gane against the cage, and then he needs to get into an exchange. Based on what we've seen in the octagon, everyone's going to be predicting this fight on something that we haven't actually seen in the octagon. Okay, so people are going to be like, Francis Ngannou, they're going to say all the same fightisms over and over again of like, he wants it more, he's hungrier, he hits harder, he's going to make the opportunity. But point to me what fight you're talking about where you've seen him do that. Most of the time, like fighters come to him. Fighters are trying to hit him. He's baited a fighter. Like, show me when that's happened. Based on what we've seen in the octagon, you almost have to say Ciryl Gane's going to win. That's not to say that Francis Ngannou's camp will find a flaw. Francis Ngannou's camp will find, and it's a new camp at Extreme Couture with some really good coaches there. They might find a game plan, but I don't know that. So based on what I know, you almost have to pick Ciryl Gane, right?
I mean, how could you not, man? I mean, even Francis, as patient Francis against Stipe, what do you think Gane's going to be doing the whole time? Do you think he's going to be playing that patient game? Of course he's not, man. He's going to be kicking him. He's going to be throwing oblique kicks to his knees while he's trying to be patient. And most importantly, he's going to be jabbing him and kicking him to the body. So Francis is not going to have any rest in this fight. And with Ciryl Gane, it's clear that he might have the better cardio. It's hard to say at this point because we've not really seen Francis in any real 5-round fights. And the only one we've ever seen him in is him getting dominated by Stipe. That was a different Francis back then, admittedly. But then thereafter, Tim, we're talking about 4 or 5 fights that don't even equate to 12 minutes. Yeah. So it's very, very difficult for us to know whether Francis has the kind of cardio to keep up with Gane. But I don't know, man. I just don't see any universe where Francis is winning right now. I might be jumping the bandwagon here, but I just don't see it, man. Like, he's a better striker. The only way that Francis is going to win this fight, in my opinion, is try and make this like a Randy Couture fight. Like, just go in with the clinch, go in and press him against the cage, throw elbows and punches. As soon as you give him some movement, it's over, man. Francis is he's going to get dominated, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Coach Eric Nixick from Extreme Couture is who he's working with now. And that's kind of what I was thinking too, because Derek Lewis and their team, they probably had a game plan A. And that game plan A wasn't working. And then you have to think, what was their game plan B? Well, they didn't have one. They didn't have a game plan B. They didn't have a game plan C. They didn't train for that, at least. But there are paths. So if you're fighting a guy like Ciryl Gane who moves in and out really well, you can do stuff like what we saw Cejudo and Dominic Cruz, where you're kicking out the legs all the time. So his movement is starting to get slowed down or starting to get damaged. And if you're going to do, like you said, a Randy Couture versus Gabriel Gonzaga, that's a great thing to do. I absolutely agree. It is managing to close the distance with him against the cage without him sprinting away is the hard part. So it's one of those easier said than done. Oh yeah, just clinch with him against the cage.
Yeah, exactly. And he's a Muay Thai practitioner, man. So clinching with someone like that, it's very, very difficult. I mean, Francis is the bigger man, but I don't even know if he's the stronger man. I don't even know if he's the stronger man, honestly. Like, Gane is 247 pounds and he looks like he's 265.
Yeah.
He looks so yoked. It almost makes me think, where's all the weight coming from? I mean, where's all the weight that he's losing? Because he looks the same size as Francis, and Lewis trying to clinch up with him, man. He shrugged Lewis off, man, like he was nothing.
Exactly. That's when it really hit me of how strong he actually was in the clinch
Yeah.
with a guy as strong as Derek Lewis. And like you said, he just kind of pushed him off. He did a spinning back elbow from like below. That was cool as hell. Yeah, he's 6'4", 245 pounds. He's a proper good size heavyweight, right? In that, like, if you designed a heavyweight to just beat up guys, that probably look like this. He probably have the same dimensions as this guy. And now the UFC has their story. Former teammates, both French speaking. Do you think the UFC will actually do something cool and put this as like a premier event in Paris, France? And you and I can take the train down or something like that?
Yeah, I would love that, man. Oh, mate, if they ever do that, we should both go to that event. But I don't know, man. I don't see it happening in France. In all honesty, I don't know how big MMA is in France at the moment. I do believe it's a weird situation there. I keep hearing that judo is really, really popular there, and there's a lot of corruption within judo. I can't remember who told me this, but there's a lot of corruption in judo, and that was the main reason as to why MMA was banned in France. I don't know if that's true or not.
I don't think you're wrong. So I want to, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't throw out on air these like speculations that I heard 10 years ago. But I don't quite remember too. But yeah, something with even, I think they had to do Muay Thai, and they had like a good kickboxing history with Savat, but something with like, never mind. I won't even talk about it on air. But so it took a little while. Bellator's done some cool events out of there. But usually when the UFC has these opportunities, they tend to just take the money route, which is we're going to do the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas because there's more money there. Like, I know that they did the Marvel Arena in Australia, and that was awesome. That was like a cool thing that they did. But they also did it opposite to Australian Football League finale game. So nobody in Australia was even watching it. Like, every time the UFC almost does something like, that's cool. That's a moment in history that you guys did.
Why now? It's like the stupidest time to put it on, man. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
So close. Like this would be an epic event if they said, like, you know what, we're going to do a stadium in Paris, France. This is the first time going to the country. We're going to have 2 French speakers. It's going to be one of the biggest events, and we're going to really put our name on the map. That would be a cool moment in history. But most of the time, the UFC just isn't going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, money speaks, doesn't it? I mean, they could think of the long term, which is if you're going to build it in France and you get, a nation of Frenchmen that really love the sport of mixed martial art, you're going to get lifelong fans down the line. But if you just have a short term approach and go, well, look, we can get another 5 or 6 million more just from seating in the T-Mobile Arena, look, they're in debt, man. UFC are in debt. They not like they're struggling, but they're in debt. They got to pay off a big chunk of money. They need to try and get money as quick as possible.
Ended that one out. They bought themselves earlier this year. They're actually free and clear at this point.
Are they really?
Yeah, they bought themselves.
Wow,
it was a bunch of
crazy.
the other owners of them were a bunch of other venture capitalists. So they saved up a bill. They bought themselves earlier this year. So they're actually in control. So it's the Endeavor 100% owner at this point.
Oh, damn. That's amazing, man.
Just edit that little bit and people
just edit that shit out, man. No, that's fine. I'll just cut it out.
But I do completely.
It's all good.
Yeah, whatever. That's fine too. But yeah, I do completely agree of like, it's better long term, but even Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather, they talked about Cowboy Stadium in Texas would have had, thousands and thousands of people. They made more money just going to the MGM Grand. That's the kind of money we're talking about. Vegas wants to fight, and Vegas pays for that fight. The T-Mobile Arena in Vegas is owned by the MGM Grand, so they're going to pay top dollar to have all those guys there. They want that, and they pay for it, and the UFC will make more money short term by doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, but I mean, per seating, it would cost a lot more MGM Grand. I believe the Floyd Mayweather and Pacquiao fight, some of the seats were like 20, 30 grand, man. Plus,
insane.
It's imagine how many seats were charging for that cost as well. Now in France, they're not going to be charging that much money. Let's face it. They wouldn't sell out a stadium, but it would be great, man. I'd love to see that in France. They should really. Have they ever done an event in France yet? I don't think they have they?
No, Bellator has done, I think, 1, and the UFC's done 0.
Damn, man.
They need to
Step that shit up, man.
I know. Moving down the card, we have our old boy, 12 years after he won a WEC championship, Jose Aldo is still out here getting top 5 wins. He outstruck the good striker in Pedro Munhoz. What did you see in this fight? What do you think of the future of Jose Aldo?
Man, Jose has never looked better defensively in my life. He was checking all those kicks. He was getting away. He was getting well out of the way of those spin attacks, which I don't really know why he kept landing that the whole time. He kept throwing it over and over again. Yeah, I don't know why. But anyway, he was getting out of the way of all of Pedro Munhoz's strikes. As you said, if you're going to just come linear, if you're just going to come like straight at Aldo, he's going to see it coming a mile away, man. He's been fighting for a very, very long time. And mate, that triple jab, that double jab that Aldo kept landing on Pedro as well. Beautiful, man. It was just a great boxing display as well. I thought it was one of Aldo's best performances to date.
Yeah, you got to think a gentleman like Jose Aldo has only been fighting top 5 opponents for 12 years now. If you're going to try straight line entries on him, he's going to see it coming a mile away. And that's what Munhoz was doing here. The low kicks, Aldo took care of him. Defensively looked great. He was throwing combination strikes. He looked really good. Now, what the future holds for him, the problem with Aldo is that as talented as he is, and he's incredibly talented, like if you blew him up to heavyweight, like Anderson Silva said that if Aldo was a middleweight, I would just retire.
I remember that when he goes, I would retire tomorrow. And he's got very good skills, man, Aldo. A lot of mileage on the clock though. That's the only issue. So he's susceptible to, if he was to fight someone like Rob Font, for example, I don't think he'd win, because Rob Font would probably rally and try and knock him out. And I don't know if Aldo's got the chin to weather those kind of storms anymore. But here's a little stat for you, Tim. All of his losses, the last 5 losses, they've all been to world champions, bar Marlon Moraes, who he clearly won against. So this guy's only losing to the best, man. I don't think anyone beats him in the top 5. But when you go into the top 2, top 3, when you got TJ Dillashaw and Corey Sandhagen, even Aljo and Pierre Yan, it's getting a bit tricky at that point.
That's actually a really good point. He's lost to Volkanovski. He's lost to Petr Yan in a fight which was actually fairly competitive until the last round. Like you said, Max Holloway twice and Conor McGregor. Like that's, man, if you're only losing to those guys, those are world champions. Those guys are really good, man. That's some insane stuff. But like you said, he does have a lot of mileage. His chin isn't there. He also doesn't throw kicks because he's broken his foot throwing kicks in the past. So he's hesitant on it. So one of his best tools, he's hesitant about it. And that's hard when you're like this high. What is the future? Oh, he called out TJ Dillashaw. I said, I think Dominic Cruz is a winnable fight for him. And that would be former champion versus former champion. That's a good one. What do you think? What's next for Mr.
I think the Dominic Cruz fight for him. Call me crazy. I think that's a harder fight for him because Dominic Cruz is a bit longer. Aldo's not going to be able to land his best weapon, which is the jab, as often on someone like Cruz, who's got a good jab himself, who's long and he's got good movement. The only thing Aldo has is his leg kicks that will really damage Dominic Cruz. But like you said, he's hesitant. He's very hesitant to start throwing those. And Cruz is going to game plan for that. He's going to check them, from a mile away. I think the reason why Henry got so many leg kicks on Dominic Cruz is because he wasn't expecting it. That's genuinely what I think. But yeah, against TJ Dillashaw, Aldo versus TJ Dillashaw, that's a 50-50 fight, in my opinion. I actually think it's a harder fight against him and Dominic Cruz, but it's a 50-50 easier fight with TJ Dillashaw. What do you think?
Jeez, line them up. That's a fun fight either way. I do struggle. Like, I think personally, I disagree with you. And finally, it's good that we finally disagree with each other. I think Aldo would beat Cruz. I think Aldo would lose to Dillashaw. Although the Dillashaw has a built-in storyline with Dillashaw uncrowned Aldo's teammate in Renan Barão 5 years ago. So maybe there's a cool storyline there. But what a fall from grace Renan Barão had. I wrote about it the other day. I'll have an article up next week. But man,
he's like the weirdest. It was literally the weirdest rise and fall in MMA ever. Like
33 fights, undefeated.
Yeah. You go from a world champion, almost the Hall of Fame type character, to then going into not even it's a journeyman. You're basically a journeyman now. How the hell did that happen?
So he did 30 fights in a row, undefeated,
Yeah.
and then now he's 1-2, lost 7 since the TJ fight. Like, dude, what? How? Oh my god, I feel so bad for Renan Barão. Like,
Yeah.
you couldn't have had a harder fall. But yeah, so there's a little bit of storyline there. Either way, we are excited for the future of Jose Aldo. Whatever you do with him, it's going to be hella fun. Like, he's an awesome, fun fighter, and I'm glad bantamweight is finally starting to move forward. Moving down the card. Ah, yeah, this was a good one. This one completely as we all predicted, right? We all said Vicente Luque, first round submission. Couldn't be simpler. That's what we all thought, right? What did you see in this fight, Ash?
I mean, I was very surprised, man. I think I called TKO second round for Luque, and I said that very, very reluctantly. I didn't actually think he was going to win. I'll be really honest with you guys. But, man, he looked amazing, man. Like, Chiesa cracked him with the jab, and it was a very good jab as well. Like, he was keeping his distance. Almost felt like Chiesa was a bit gun shy at the beginning.
Yeah.
And as soon as he had an opportunity, he's like, all right, I'm gonna just take him down and try and choke him as quick as possible. And Luque had other plans, man. He was like, hold on a second, you're gonna choke me out, I'll choke you out. And that was it, man.
Luque looked better that's you know what, because Michael was landing more strikes in this fight. Like, on the feet, he landed that really good 1-2 that set Luque's head back, because that was really good. Like you said, that was the moment, because I was asking you before I had watched the fight, like, is this a guy who can compete with Kamaru Usman? And you said no. Like, he got jabbed up by Chiesa. He's going to get knocked out by Usman, is what you said. So he was trading submissions. He defended 2 submissions from Michael, and then he slapped on his own. Brilliant. That is absolutely awesome. What's next for Vicente Luque in the welterweight weight class here? Because I was saying throw him in for a title shot right away. You said no, he's just going to die if that happens. What's next?
No, I want to see the rematch with him and Wonderboy. I'd love to see that rematch again. I want to see if then again, I don't think he's going to take it, because Wonderboy's on a loss as well. Yeah, it's a shame, man. Gilbert Burns, and you got Vicente Luque are friends. Yeah, because that's a great fight to make. But you know, what was it? Full Violence had a picture the other day. Masvidal and Vicente Luque would also be a great fight to watch as well. And I think that would do big numbers in terms of, you know, eyeballs and stuff. Make that fight. I think that's the fight to make, him versus Masvidal. Yeah,
Masvidal's a really fun fight, and I think it's a pretty winnable fight for Luque, and that's like putting a young gun over the top. Put that as a main event on a fight night card, and now you got maybe a new celebrity, right? So I think that's a really good one for him. I don't think Masvidal would take it. You know what I mean? It's not like the money fight. When people are like, "Do you want to fight Conor McGregor or Vicente Luque?" And we're like, "Man."
Yeah, exactly. And his team keep talking about Conor as well. They're like, yeah, he's not big enough for welterweight. Kind of like just trying to piss him off to come up a weight division after his broken leg. So I think they're really trying to angle for that fight. But
I think so too. Yeah,
it's just money fights for now for Masvidal. I think him versus Leon would be a big money fight. That would make sense as well.
Throw Leon in with anyone, because he's on the UFC's bad side, because he dominated Nate Diaz for 4.5 rounds and then almost lost. And now the UFC.
But look, we can't sell this man as you being a title contender yet. Not yet. No way.
So you did create a moment with Nate Diaz. You didn't create a moment with you. You know what I mean? Of like, you created a viral moment for some other guy, you idiot.
I know. And in a year or two, that's all that anyone's going to remember, It's going to be Leon Edwards, Look, he was doing well. People will probably just think, he was doing all right. Like, not even dominating, for 4 rounds, 4.5 or 4 rounds in 4 minutes. But they're just going to be like, bah, you know what? If this is a street fight, Diaz would definitely win.
That's bad. Oh, it's so funny. So welterweight continues to be unclear, continues to be a mess. I'm glad that we finally got the Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington lined up, so we can put that one. Like, I'm excited for that one. We'll discuss it at length as we get closer to the fight time, but it'll be nice. Do you think we'll only put a yes or no on it? Do you think we're going to put the Colby Covington Kamaru Usman to bed, or does it keep going into 2022?
I think they're going to fight this year, aren't they? In October, November, no?
Yeah. Does that end it, or do we
I
fight
hope
again
not,
in
man. I hope Covington takes it so we see a trilogy bout. And that's the only reason why I want Covington to win it. I like Usman, but I just like both of them together even more, man. Honestly, like, they have amazing standard of fights. Saying that though, Colby would probably get ruined in the second in the rematch.
No, it's too early. It's too early. We have to make people want it.
We'll calm it down, yeah.
We got to make them want it. Tune in next November if you want our predictions. But I also do like trilogies as someone who like works in the industry, and like the bigger the UFC, the better I'm doing. Trilogies are very healthy for like what I do. So yeah, maybe a trilogy in 2022 would just be hella fun. Song Yadong gets a win over Casey Kenny. Love Yadong. He's just
Yeah. Love you.
He's great. He's a really like exciting fighter, and it boggles my mind of how many wins he's now had in this division. And he's actually, the division is so well stacked that he's still not even ranked in the top 15 at this point, right?
He's top 20, man. It's crazy. He's not even top 15. He's like in the top 20. So many killers in bantamweight.
Man, like but I also don't know what to do with next. He's lost to Kyler Phillips, who's up there. He beat Chito Vera.
I got a solution. Make that rematch again with Chito Vera. Poor Chito, man. He beat Song and he beat O'Malley, and he's asking for these rematches, and they're like, "Nope, I'm okay, thanks." It's like,
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Where people are like, almost right off of like, yeah, so you lost to Chito Vera, but we think in a rematch you'd probably beat him, so we're just going to pretend like you didn't lose to Chito Vera.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, even Sean O'Malley's like, I'm mentally undefeated. That doesn't count as a loss. That doesn't count as a loss. But yeah, I'd like to see a rematch between the two of those, man, or even Chito against Song again, because he definitely lost that fight. Song that is, yeah. That's probably what's next for Song. Fighting either Chito or Sean O'Malley, one of the two.
We need 2005. I bring it up every podcast. Drop another nickel in the jar as I bring this up. 2005, 205-pound Pride Grand Prix had 16 fighters in it. Man, we got to do this with bantamweight. Get those 16 fighters in a tournament and just get this done already. Oh, come on.
Make it on an island, just put them in a cage.
Put them on an island. It's a Mortal Kombat style tournament now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you got so many killers, man, at bantamweight. You know what would be even more crazy if Henry Cejudo decides to come back as well. That would be nuts, man. That would be so crazy.
Henry Cejudo comes back and probably beats most of these guys. Like, he'd be out worst top 2? Does he beat Pedro and Aljo? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, look, he talks a lot of cringe, man, but he can back it up, man. He's very, very good.
Man, bring back Cejudo. I will start the campaign to bring back Cejudo. Go down the card. Rafael beats Bobby Green. I don't want to say his name wrong, so I'll just avoid it. But Rafael beats Bobby Green in a fight where he fought like he was fighting for a performance of the night bonus, and he did get it. But how many? Yeah. This was supposed to be a fight where you beat the gatekeeper at lightweight, and now we're going to start putting in some real lightweight fights. But he almost left it. He won the fight without an exclamation mark, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. What did you see in this fight?
I mean, look, Fiziev has looked really good in the last few fights. He destroyed Renato Moicano like ridiculously. Like they didn't even look like they're in the same trajectory. Yeah, and he looked really, really good against Mark Diakis. I've been a Fiziev fan for a very long time now. Now against Bobby Green, I mean, look, it's Bobby Green. Bobby Green is a very good veteran, really underrated boxing, and I think the only time he's actually been truly KO'd unconscious was against Dustin Poirier, and even then, he left his hands down in the exchange. Yeah, I mean, I think Fiziev is going to get a big fight next, man. He needs to get someone in the top 10. Who I'd like to see is him versus Dan Hooker. I think that would be a brilliant fight to make.
You know what's crazy about lightweight is that if you beat Bobby Green, you almost don't have this. He doesn't fight like anyone else in the weight class is the thing, because he's he's so good defensively, and he's just okay offensively. And most of lightweight is amazing offensive strikers, and none of them are good defensive strikers, right?
Yeah.
Dan Hooker, so much good output. His offense is amazing. His defense kind of sucks, right? Even the champion, like Michael Chandler and Charles Oliveira, output. So much.
Offense, that's so true. I've never thought of it like that. That's right. That's a brilliant point, because you got that with Connor. Dustin's a bit reckless himself, man.
Yep.
He throws himself out there. You got Tony Ferguson, who's still in the mix as well.
Just offense.
Throws himself. Yeah. And then you got Bobby Green, who has decent, he's got good jabs and straights, but his defense is very good, man. Very good shoulder rolls. Got the Philly shell going on as well. Yeah. Punches clean either. He doesn't take punches clean. So, yeah, that's a very good point, actually.
Yeah, so if you beat Bobby Green, or if you look bad against Bobby Green, it might not say much about you because no one else fights that well defensively. Dan Hooker would be an awesome fight. These two, a 5-round main event on a fight night would just be absolutely throwing down against each other. It would be so exciting to see. Kevin Lee is floating out in the abyss right now. Maybe that's a good fight to line up.
Is he
Gregor
welterweight
Gillespie.
now?
What was the thing? So he just had a fight canceled. Kevin Lee did.
Sean Brady. That guy is very, very good. Sean Brady. Very, very good.
Yeah. His last fight was a loss to Oliveira. Boy, he hasn't fought in a little while. Oh man, get Kevin Lee in there. Gregor Gillespie is out there as well. So there's a lot of really good fights for Fiziev to really like. If you've now beat the gatekeeper, welcome to the lightweight Lions pit. Who do you want to lose to next? But yeah, they're all super fun fights. I'm really excited. Again, same thing at lightweight. This would make a great tournament because these guys are awesome. But yeah, that's a good one to break down. My boy beat my other boy. Manel Cape beat Ode Osborne. Like we were talking about off air, Ode Osborne is a really good story of like, this guy's like a primary school teacher, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they love him, man. I mean, like you got the kids out there that absolutely love him. And I think it's just a great story, man. It's a shame he lost. I really do like Ode Osborne. We'll see what happens with him in the future, but the kid is violent, man. I think the future for him is probably bantamweight. He looked better as a bantamweight, and he decided, look, I can actually cut down to flyweight. Yeah, I think his body's probably better adjusted at bantamweight. And against Ode Osborne, who's one of the best flyweights in the world, it's not a really good matchup, man. No way. And he missed weight, Ode Osborne. I mean, no, Ode Osborne, Manel Cape.
Yeah. That's the thing.
He lost it by quite a bit, man. You lost, he missed weight by 4 pounds.
Yeah, you're pounds off from even hitting like Pat. He was so far off there. Like that wasn't a good look at all. So that's the thing.
It's flyweight as well. Yeah, that's a bigger percentage of your body weight. That's huge.
Dude, I really do struggle with Manel Cape because I love Manel Cape and he fought so excitingly in Ryzen and he had the he would wear wrestling shoes because it gave him better punching power. So he would just like blitz guys. He was knocking out guys like Kaya Sakura and Mizukaki. He was beating really good guys. I think what had happened, and hear me out. I'm just going to just wait till I get to my point. Years ago, and we all know this is public knowledge, but Ian McCall was cursed by some witch years ago. Now, so that means none of Ian McCall's fights can ever be a normal fight event. They always have to have something weird going on with them, like the draw with Demetrius Johnson, and then he never gets back to it. He loses via cuts. He has like 8. I'm looking at it now. He had 6 canceled bouts between 2015 and 2017 and couldn't get a fight. And then he loses 2 in a row. One of them was by cut from the thing. So that witch's curse that was on Ian McCall, I think actually passed to Manel Cape at some point because for the last like 4 fights, nothing can be normal. You almost beat Pantoja. You did really well against Nikolai. Like you were, the UFC clearly wanted to make a name out of you. It's because they give you Pantoja for your first fight, and then you showboated in a fight that you were probably losing, maybe winning. And then this fight, you lost. Like, this is your highlight reel. This is the thing that you finally got. You finally have something that we're all talking about and excited about your future in the UFC. And you miss weight by a huge margin here. I don't know what to do with Manel Cape. Does he go up in weight and just lose to everybody there? Because that's not a better weight class. But I don't know what the hell to do with him. And I love Manel Cape. What are we doing with this guy?
I mean, I think the UFC would have not been too, upset if Manel Cape had lost because they're paying him a lot of money. That's for sure.
Yeah.
He's coming from Ryzen. He's not being paid your standard 10K to show and 10K to win. Nothing like that. He's probably getting paid at least 100 grand. I'm sure he's getting paid at least 100 grand to show up and fight. So they were having a lot of expectations with Manel Cape, but at this point in time, I think just build him up slowly again. You don't want to have him, get a huge win and then lose the next one immediately afterwards. So I think they need to start building him up. I don't know, man. Who would you pitch him against flyweight? I'm not that excited about flyweight in all honesty. I want to just check out.
Yeah, I see. I don't know how well he ends up doing is the problem because he fights in such an inconsistent style where you have moments where you look really good, but those moments are rare. Like in 3 fights, you've had 2 of those moments kind of thing. I don't know. He fights maybe any of the guys in the top 13 are cool. And then I don't know.
Here's a winnable fight for him versus Benavidez. And Benavidez is still number 5.
Yeah, no,
That's
that is winnable for him, isn't it?
yeah, that's very winnable right now in this point in Joseph Benavidez's career. Yeah, he didn't look great against Askarov as well. So yeah, I mean, you could always put Manel against him, but again, it's a bit high risk because Benavidez is still good, man. I don't care how old he is. He's still a very good fighter.
Do you think the UFC years ago made an agreement of we want to see a Mortal Kombat style fatality, and they said like we're just going to pick a guy who we're going to try to make sure that he gets his head removed, and they pick Joseph Benavidez. It's like your head will be removed in a fight, Joseph Benavidez. And yeah, him versus Manel Cape kind of says that because it's not winnable for Benavidez. I don't know that he's too old at this point. I think any of those guys on top, like Benavidez, is in the range where he should probably retire for his own safety at this point. But yeah, I think Manel Cape does win that fight, but no, maybe nobody else in the top 15. I don't know what to do with him, but we'll see what his future holds. So we got UFC 265 is a wrap. We finally got the heavyweight division. Is an exciting division. We have a storyline going into the next fight. We'll see how the UFC messes this up in the next little while here. There's not even a fight agreement set, but we got a top contender. We got a champion. Let's see where it goes from here. Not much going on this weekend. We have we got a Bellator, we got a PFL going on. Make sure to check those out, but we won't have any major UFC cards this weekend. Next week, I'm out of here, but you're in for a couple of interviews. What else do we need to know? Check out your new name. Where can we find more of Calf Kick Sports here?
Yes, yeah, I've got a completely new name, guys. I thought Lord Lobov, since Artem Lobov's actually retired, I think I should retire that as well.
Oh,
but great. Yeah, yeah. So it's ashmma.cks. CKS stands for Calf Kick Sports, obviously. But yeah, just make sure you give me a follow there. I'm on our Calf Kick Sports page anyway. Yeah. But yeah, definitely, like and subscribe, guys. There's a few more interviews next week. We are actually doing a podcast for the Gastelum and the Cannoneer event. So I'm going to do that with Dre Miley and Mom's Basement MMA. You're not going to be there for that, are you, Tim? You're off on holiday.
I should be gone. So you go ahead.
Okay. But yeah, just make sure you guys like and subscribe. And yeah, make sure you guys definitely tune in for the next podcast as well.
Thank you so much. Thanks for listening to Calf Kick Sports. All the Instagram links will be down below in the description. Cheers.